Hey everybody, welcome to the Tascam DP-008EX complete tutorial part 3. And today we're going to deal with utilities and input effects. And what I mean by utilities is things like the metronome. So there's a metronome button here, press that and you're in the metronome screen. And it defaults to off mode. So I'll just toggle up, I'll just switch up to here. Now you got a couple choices. You can go record and play, so obviously you hear it when you record or when you play. So you would do that if obviously you wanted to, cut tracks. You'd have the metronome going, and then when you were just playing to kind of like rehearse or whatever, take a dry run at something, the metronome will play while you're just pressing play and not record, which is handy. But if you don't want to do that, then you can just do record only. So if you don't want to hear the metronome when you're just playing back your tracks, turn it to this. I'm going to leave it on record and play so we can hear it. So I'll hit the play button and we can hear the metronome. So while we're demonstrating this, you can hear what's going on, okay? So tempo, obvious, but here's your spread. You got 20. You turn this thing really fast to 250. Speed metal. And beat is going to be, the accent. So 1. This is just chop, 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 chop. And 2 would be, one, like a marching band. And so on, I'll do 3 just so you can kind of get a little better idea. 1, 2, 3, a little waltz, and so on. And it'll go all the way up to 12. So then you'll have 1 and then 11 beat, and then it'll hit again. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, bam, like that. I don't know if you'd ever want to use that, but anyways, your band might like it. So you pick which one you like, generally people do like 4 or 1 or something, but whatever. And then the level, obviously, is the relative level of loudness between the metronome and your tracks, and it goes from a deafening roar of 0, I don't know why they would do that, I guess they just wanted to give you a bunch of options, to 100. So I just leave it at 100, but it just depends, on how it compares to your tracks. So turn it down. There's where you want it. No, just kidding. All right, so that's it for the metronome. Pretty simple, cut and dried. Let's move on from there, and we'll go to, let me stop this. We'll go to the tuner, okay? So this is another utility that's on here. Hit the tuner, and you get a chromatic tuner. And it's accurate, works fine. You can calibrate it if you do different types of tunings and stuff. You can go from 435 up to 445. So we'll keep it at 440. And then let me grab a guitar here. And turn it on. And I'll put it on like one of the channels. I'll put it on like 1. And there you go. This thing's tuned to open D, so. Well, it's not tuned, but it's theoretically tuned to open D. And there you go. All right, pretty simple. So you just play your guitar. Let me put it back down. And it'll tune anything. It'll tune a bass, a piano, a car horn, whatever. But I had that plugged into external input A. You can't plug it into B. It doesn't hear it. But you can use the forward-facing condenser mics, so you can tune a piano or whatever, an acoustic instrument that you can't plug in, you can tune. So that's really cool, and it'll hear it. So it's got the microphones pick it up. You can also use just an oscillation, so you can use a tone, like a test tone, like a pitchfork or a tuning fork. And again, the calibration can go from 435 to 445. So let's go back to 440, and then you can choose your note. So let's go down here, and you can go anywhere from a C3 up to a B5. So let's just go to an A4, and I'll play it for you. Holy crap, sorry. Kind of loud. All right, so maybe here we want to use the level. So you can turn the level down and play the tone. And there you go, if you really wanted to do that. I don't know a whole lot of people that want to do that. They normally use a chromatic, but you never know. All right, it's there, okay? So that's pretty much it. That is it for the tuner. So let's get out of there and head home here. All right, so the next thing is going to be the input EQ. Now, the reason that this video is called the input effects is because these are effects that affect the input signal. So when you plug something into this, you're going to put these on it and record, and they're going to stick to the SD card. So they're going to print to the SD card. These aren't something that you can take off later. So this is a commitment. This is like, this doesn't sound right, and I want to fix it now. I don't want to fix it later on. We'll fix it in the mix. You want to fix it now because it's out of whack, okay? So that's what these are all for. All right, so let's go into input settings and then go to EQ, and you've got a very basic high-low EQ, okay? So you've got, for channels A and B, as you can see, you can have them, you know, obviously we'll turn it on and then go down, and you can choose your high frequency sweep. So whatever frequency you think is best suited for fixing whatever problem you might have, from 1.7K up to 18K, you can adjust here. And to do that, just go down one more, and then you can adjust it 12 dBs in either direction. Excuse me, -12 up to +12. All right, so we'll just kind of get it around 0 again. And then your low frequencies, the sweep there is 32 hertz, so that's way down, up to 1.6, which is kind of high for low frequency. Well, not really. And then go down, and you can adjust that. Again, the sweep is negative to +12 dBs, so you can do quite a bit of cut or boost there. And obviously, if you want to get over to B, just go over there, come back up, turn it on, and do the same thing. So you can do, excuse me, a different EQ profile for each one. All right, so, and that won't affect, as you can see, it's not affecting A, so you can change them. So you can have two different EQ, and that's cool. So pretty simple. It's a basic EQ, but again, prints to SD card. So when you make a recording using this, it's permanent. You can do some EQing afterward, but then you're going to have to deal with whatever you started with after you messed with it in the beginning. All right, so that's that. So let's get out of there, and we'll go back into input setting, EQ, and we'll go to the input dynamics, okay? And once again, these are things that are printed to the SD card, okay? On the input. That's why they're called input. All right, so you hit dynamics, and you get some options. You're going to get a de-esser, which is on, but it would normally be off. I was messing with this. You get, it'll default opening up to compressor, exciter, and de-esser. And if you're not familiar with these things, there's millions of videos out there about compression. Hopefully you know what it is. If you don't, go ahead and learn. Even I've got a real basic one out there, but the compression is fairly comprehensive. As you can see here, they've got a preset on there, Vocal 1, but you can use those as kind of a tool to learn a little bit about compression if you want, by going into parameters. It's like Parmesan, and that it shows you what they used for just a vocal compression. Now they went at -17 dBs as their threshold. That's the point where you do affect the signal, and the ratio was 3:1. So for every 3 dBs it went over, it cuts it 1 under, and then the level. That's the makeup gain. So that's after you've done your compression, you can bring the whole thing up a certain amount, and there's the sweeps on these are from 0 to 32 dB, so you can crank it. And you got attack. The attack times go from 2 milliseconds up to 200 milliseconds. So you can do a slow or a fast attack. And if you understand these things, I won't go through this too much more. You need to understand compression if you don't. But if you do, you'll roll through this and you'll say, okay, I know what I want, or not. But the cool thing is they do have these presets, and you can just roll through these, and they got ones for guitars and bass and different types of basses, brass, and even narration if you're just doing like voiceover like I'm doing now. But anyway, so now the thing about it is, if you see there's this thing link here, and what that does is that just links both together. So if you put link on, then whatever settings you put, whether it's a preset or something that you come up with, it'll be on channel A and B if you do that. You don't have to do that. You can put it off and then set each one separately. but that's just an option for if you're just going to have the same compression settings on both channels. So that's just a basic overview of compression. And remember, this is input, so it's going to stay on your recording. All right, so there you go. That's that. That's another thing you can do. All right, so now we'll just go up. I won't come back out of here. I'll change to the exciter. Okay, now an exciter is basically, it's more or less distortion on a channel. What it does is it takes a signal and kind of runs a concomitant channel of the same signal, but does some things to the EQ and boosts it so that it basically pushes it out front without you necessarily having to turn the fader up and just crank that channel so people can hear it. It gives it a presence that's more prominent and pushes it forward. But just go easy on this thing. Once again, you don't have the link there. You have to do them independently, but you can do channel A and B independently. And here's your frequency sweep on that. So you can pick a frequency, up to from 1 to 4,000 hertz, and decide how much you want to push it forward. I definitely wouldn't do 100 on probably anything, but you could. And it goes, I think it's 0 to 100. Yeah, 0. So you can put none on there if you want, or you can. But it's just the way they did it, and that's fine. So just go easy on this one. Tinker with it if you need to use it and you think you want to push something forward. Without doing a very extensive EQing and compression job, you might be able to just get some presence out of just this. It's a cool thing. All right, let's get out of there, and we'll go into another. I'll stay here. Sorry. Go down to the de-esser, and that's exactly what it sounds like. Someone's doing sibilance. They're getting a lot of hiss in their vocal or whatever it is. It could be on instruments too. You can use a de-esser on just about anything. Well, you can use it on anything, whether you want to or not. But it's useful on various things. But generally speaking, it's on a vocal. And again, independent A and B. If you want to change it, you can use it on either one and have different settings for them both. And again, the frequency is 1,000 hertz to 4,000 hertz. Now this one could go higher because sometimes de-essing issues are higher than that. Ooh, the thing went crazy. I spun it too fast. And but just tinker with it. And again, use a little bit of judiciousness about how much you do this, because if you squash it too much, you can go. I think this goes to 100 too. Yeah, and also to, hey, we turned it off. But if you put it up too high, you want to put this weird sound. Like sometimes you listen to the radio and there's no essing, there's no sibilance. So you don't want to crush the sibilance so much that you sound like someone calls it Sylvester the Cat. It's kind of weird, but I hear it on the radio sometimes. They do it. I don't know if they're putting too much compression. I got a feeling they're using too much de-essing because maybe the guy was using a lot of sibilance, and they just start to sound really weird, like but anyway, so just use all of these judiciously. You don't want to overdo any of these. And that's the Tascam DP-008EX utilities and input FX overview. And, if you look at the description on this video, you'll see that I've put timestamps for each one of these utilities, each one of these functions. And if you go to my homepage, you'll see the whole playlist of the entire Tascam DP-008 unfolding before your very eyes as an encyclopedia of all the functions on it. So I'm doing it in steps. I said I'd do it, and I am doing it, so check it out. If you watch all the videos and go to them, you'll be able to pick out any function that you want to use on this thing and get a little insight into it real quick. So, and it's even gonna, I'm sure, help me. All right, well, that's it for this one. It's a little long, but there was a lot to it. So see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.